the manager did reach out and had asked if you had defecated before your training session. Maybe it happened after the session. They were just so relaxed that they just literally couldn't help themselves.
Here we go, guys. Another guest, and this time it's the big guy. It's the big Matt this time. Not our cousin Matt. We have a different Matt this time, and it's Matt Kohler, the one and only. Yeah.
I'll take Big Matt over Matt number 2, so that's an honor.
It's probably not a bad thing to go
I was hoping for Matt number 1.
Your second-hand Matt.
Oh, that's another level. Well, it's good to be on here, you guys. Thanks for inviting me to your lovely podcast. I've been watching the shows and some interesting material you guys have been covering.
That's a good term for it. Interesting.
Yeah. It's a nice way to put it.
Yeah. It's usually code for it sucks.
Don't hold back, Matt.
Now, Matt, I've known you for a couple of years now. I think I met you back in 2011. We met you at Skating Plus in Ventura because we were shooting a short skit. And the reason I know you is from actually one of the guests that we've had on the show before. James Cluster actually introduced you to us. And so you were kind of a guy, you're originally from Wisconsin. So you came out here, you're doing the whole LA thing. You have a twin brother. You and him were kind of got to come tackle the town. And I think you were like, I'll take any gig anywhere. And you came out and you helped us out with that gig. It's like an extra. I was like, this guy's really dedicated to the craft. I like this guy. And then, of course, we became friends on social media. And then I saw that you were networking with a bunch of people in Hollywood. And I was like, dude, this guy's really doing well for himself. I got to see this. And you started hitting gigs. I think you were on Hart of Dixie. And I think, Luke, you said that you saw that episode.
Yeah. We were, my wife it just happened to be on and she's like, I think I was cooking dinner or something. And she goes, oh my God. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, is that Matt? And I look at TV and Matt's just on my TV. Hart of Dixie. I'm like, man, way to go.
Well, this is all true. Yeah, especially that moment we had on the skating rink. I'll never forget that. On Hart of Dixie, I played a character named Dusty. And I was the villain to one of the regulars on the show. And there was this event that it was a community day, and the whole episode was building up to this race that takes place during this community day every year. And so it was just a lot of physicality. I think I don't even know if I had a few words. It was more flexing and running and grunting and scowling.
Words that couldn't describe you better, Matt.
Right.
Well, then, of course, the reason that we know you very well now is because we produced a film together called Social Norm, and you helped me produce it, and you played one of the lead roles in that. And one of the stories I always love to tell, I think every time I see you, I always mention this, is that you actually stayed with us during the shoot because we shot a lot of it in a house. So you stayed in the house with us as we were during the production. And when you live with Matt Kohler, rest assured, you are going to see him with his shirt off at least a dozen times.
Yay.
And this guy's shredded, just ripped. And
is that why you installed all those security cameras in your house, Dillon?
Yeah, security. Matt wouldn't steal.
You wouldn't do that. But no, Matt, you obviously work out a lot, and you actually run a gym. And Matt, if you want to plug your gym, no shame in plugging your gym right now. It's out in Brentwood, right? It's called SpeedX, if I got that right.
Yeah. It's called SpeedX in Brentwood. It's on Wilshire and close to Barrington. It's just west of Barrington. And we do high-intensity interval training. This is my plug right here.
Yeah, go for it.
So, it's kind of like CrossFit Light, though. So we aren't afraid to break out the weights and do barbells, dumbbells, TRX, and a little bit of everything. So you have a cardio and strength workout, and I guess that affords me to take off my shirt from time to time. So
that's what we like.
Excuse.
Spring break.
Well, when you bought that gym, was that kind of like I don't know if it works as like a usual gym down there, because usually when you just I think of a gym, I think of like 24-hour fitness or like a Mavericks or something where people just go in, they just kind of do their own thing. But is that like a team effort thing where like you said it's high interval training where people are constantly doing things? Because the stuff I see that you do on your website or on like Instagram, your social media, there's always like everybody's moving around, like running back and forth. I'm like, what's going on in that gym?
Looks like total chaos. But actually, there's a method to the madness. And usually the people are broken up into groups. So you'll be working in stations. And it is a group fitness format. So it's not an open gym like 24-hour fitness or Gold's Gym. You have to come to like one of the classes. It's every hour on the hour in the evening. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there's a warm-up portion. And then we run through the workout. And the workout usually is about 40 minutes of nonstop working out. You may have a few 1-minute rest periods during that time, but that's the bulk of it. And then sometimes there's a cool down and some stretching. So
do you have an ambulance available? Because I would need one.
Well, I definitely need you to sign a waiver, Luke.
Do you have a group that just sits down and reads for a while?
We have that option as well.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. I think, Joel, I know you studied kinesiology for a hot minute. Is that right? Is that the right line of?
Yeah, kinesiology, exercise science.
And I think, Matt, you also studied that briefly. So, like, what can someone educate me on, like, why, like, Cody could do that.
Count on me.
Like, can someone educate me on, like, why high interval training is better than just going and lifting weights? Because I've heard so many different, like, you go on YouTube, there's not, like, the one way to work out and get in shape. There's always a billion different methods, and everyone always swears they have the recipe. So why would high interval training be the better route as opposed to doing this route?
Now, Joel, do you want the opportunity to answer this question?
What do you know, Joel?
Yes.
Let me find a textbook. Well, it's basically it's a way to like get fit like all around. So instead of just focusing on lifting weights, the purpose of just lifting weights is either to get toned muscle or just to get mass muscle. Doing things like CrossFit where you're doing interval training, nonstop movement, you're raising your heart rate and keeping it, sustaining it at a higher rate, which is you're building muscle also, but you're also your metabolism is just like going through the roof. You're basically just like trying to burn as much fat as possible.
Absolutely.
So it's like a combination of getting toned and losing fat at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's a good definition of it. And there's just so many calories burnt during the workout in high-intensity interval training that there's some lasting benefits. Even after the workout, you're still burning calories. And because you're at such a high level of intensity, you're usually going heavier in weights and, you have some power movements in there. So it's really good for building muscle mass, where if you were to run a marathon or something, it's more muscular endurance training. So someone that's doing HIIT is going to look more like a sprinter versus a marathon runner, if that makes sense.
But you guys didn't answer my question. Why am I so fat?
Dillon.
No, I'm literally out of breath just listening to you. I'm out of breath.
I'm exhausted.
The answer to that is because when you open, oh God, what is he doing?
I never know what he's doing back there.
Seizure. No, the answer to your question, Dillon, is because when you open up your cabinet, it's all Pop-Tarts. That's why.
Or popcorn, or it's one of those. Popcorn. I actually do have a lot of popcorn.
I'm coming over right now.
I must confess, when I spent the week with Dillon, he may have not seen someone without their shirt off as much as he saw me, but I never saw so much potato chips and junk food in the cabinets. I asked him to try a salad.
Yeah, I remember the smell of egg whites and mixed vegetables for like a week. And the other funny story that we had was like you wanted to go for a run before we did the shoot that morning. And you're like, is there like a park nearby? I'm like, yeah, there's one like literally right on the other, like a block away. Like, yeah, but is there another one further? I'm like, yeah, there's one like a mile away. You can go to that one. He's like, okay, good. And then you went to that apparently. And the crew, as they were driving in, said they saw you sprinting faster than the cars that they were driving past, and just like gunning for it. And I was like, dude.
Were there cops behind him?
Yeah.
Was that Matt? I had to get in the character. I mean, the character research it required that. So, yeah.
That was just getting into character. I see. Well, like I know that we've talked about this a little bit before, Matt. Like we talk about bodybuilding because our dad actually used to be a bodybuilder, and one of the things that you and I used to bond over was Arnold Schwarzenegger. Our love for Schwarzenegger, and just like his whole career and that whole thing. So. We talked about the modern day bodybuilders and how they get humongous these days. Like they're abnormally huge. They look freakish. So, and I know Cody and I, we kind of talked about this one time when him and I were going to the gym, commuting to the gym together. There's some guys that are in there that are just almost as big as those guys you see in the shows nowadays. And the proportions are just really off. And I'm wondering, like, what are they doing anything wrong? Is there a line where you can say this is too much muscle? Like you've now crossed the line where it's not just a proportion thing. Like you have now, it's no longer about health. It's all about vanity at this point. Like you're just going for the look because I don't know where that line is, and I know everybody's body's different type, or everybody's body's different type. But I don't know where that line is. Like when do you get to that point of like, okay, now you're just building muscle on top of muscle, and I don't know what to do with it anymore.
Yeah, I don't even know if that's vanity, or at least it's not attractive to most people at a certain point. And actually, Arnold has called out some of the professional pro bodybuilders these days because their physiques just aren't aesthetic anymore. They have big guts. They just look more like a bottle-shaped body, I guess he put it, versus more of that traditional X with the wide shoulders and the big calves and the small midsection. And the reason they look that way, I believe, is in the 70s, the golden era of bodybuilding, they didn't have growth hormone. And nowadays, the bodybuilders will not only do probably 4 to 5 times as much as what the bodybuilders were doing in the 70s, but they're also stacking it with insulin and growth hormone. And when you take growth hormone, it makes everything grow. So not only do your muscles grow, but your internal organs and your ears, your cartilage, it kind of spurs everything. And what they get is this protruding gut because their small intestines and their organs have grown. So yeah, it's not a good look.
Well, it's like you saw that documentary about the guy that had his arms explode, right? Like
with the synthol injections.
Bicep was so huge, it was bursting at the seams. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that's another thing that they do is they inject this synthetic substance called synthol into the muscles. It's usually into the biceps because everyone wants big arms. And I mean, people were calling that it was going to explode at some point for well over a year. And they show the picture of this guy. Maybe you can pull it up, but it just did not look good. Viewer discretion advised.
I'll still look.
Cody can't wait to look.
I think in the same vein, like the strongman like competitions, where it's not, they're not doing it for vanity, per se, but they're doing it just to gain, strength for the competitions. But it's like you look at them, and even they will tell you, like, I cannot do this. I cannot like hold this lifestyle forever because I'm just going, like, my heart won't take it. Like just the amount of food they're intaking every day, and just like the exercise they're going through, it's like they just can't. They, like, the doctors literally say you won't live past like this date unless you stop.
Yeah.
Like there's no doubt about it.
Yeah. There's actually a documentary out there. I think his name is Eddie. Correct me if I'm wrong. And he's from the UK, and he wanted to be the strongest man in the world. And I think he took like 14th, and no one ever thought he'd make it. And now he's climbed the ranks, and it just shows his progression and the amount of food he has to intake every day, and his blood pressure. And yeah, it's just not normal. I mean, he had to put on so much weight. Your heart can only keep up so much.
Right. There's video of him because I think he has the world record for like deadlifts or something like that. Mm-hmm. And there's videos of him. I think it's in that same documentary. I think it's on Netflix. And he's like trying to break the world record again. It's probably his own record. But he's doing it, and literally as he's doing it, midway through like his lift, his nose just gushes blood. You need to drop it and just give up on whatever you're trying to do right now. Not worth it.
Yeah, actually, Arnold was there when he had the record, and I believe he had lost the world's strongest man, but then a year later he had broken that record, and it might have been at the Arnold Classic, because the Arnold Classic not only is bodybuilding, but it's a big fitness expo. So they have powerlifting, they have martial arts, they have anything you could think of, gymnastics, and he was doing that. But yeah, I've seen guys on Instagram and YouTube where they'll do a deadlift or a squat, and afterwards they'll just fall back and pass out. It's it's another level.
Our dad was in bodybuilding for a while, and he said that I don't understand anybody who maxes out. I don't understand why you would do that. He's like, I know some people just want to know what their number is, but he's like, if you're going to put yourself to the point where you could potentially hurt yourself, why would you? Why risk it? You know, what's the point? Right. It's just like I don't know why you need to know that. But speaking of like getting injured, what's any like injury you guys have sustained working out? I know we've all like we exercise and we have exercised in the past. Is there any injury that comes to mind that you guys have had? Where I don't know if anybody's had any blood gushing from their nose. Shoot, that's gnarly, man. Jeez.
Well, actually, I recently just had a stem cell injection in my bicep to take care of my latest injury. And I've been very fortunate. I've never injured myself in the 20 plus years I've been working out. And when I bought SpeedX, I decided, hey, I'll get CrossFit certified. You know, a lot of my coaches are CrossFit certified. There is, influence there. So I thought it'd be a good idea. And there's just different movements there than your traditional bodybuilding exercises or even HIIT training. I don't know if you know what a kipping pull-up is, but rather than just doing a regular pull-up, you're kind of doing like a butterfly. You're going in circular motion, and you're pulling down on the bar versus pulling up on the bar. And so I'm doing this. I had, you read the manual, and you go down to Costa Mesa for the weekend, and you get tested. There's a written test and there's a physical test. And you have to do some of these exercises and stuff. And when I was doing the kipping pull-up, they're like, yeah, pull harder. So I pulled hard, and I felt my bicep tear, actually. Unfortunately, right after that, I had to take the physical test. So that was like thrusters and burpees. And I was like, at this point, I've invested all this time and money. I'm just going to do it. So that didn't help, I'm sure.
Gosh.
But yeah, I've been going to physical therapy, and I had a stem cell, and it's starting to finally feel better. But there's definitely a defect. So if you see there, compared to this arm, it's not. It doesn't have the dent. I don't know if you can see this.
Matt, we can't even see your face anymore. Your bicep is just taking up the whole image.
Bowling ball.
I actually haven't trained biceps in like 6 months.
Yeah, we can tell.
Stickling.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. Yeah, for me, the last time, I mean, I haven't worked out in a long time, but I remember this one time. It was it wasn't at the gym. I was running. It was when I was like in track and all into running. And I went to Arroyo Verde Park in Ventura, and I was like running the hills and stuff like every runner does. And I was
That's
like,
the park Dillon directed me to.
I don't know if it was that one, but yeah. Matt was just sprinting by you.
Yeah. What the?
You call these hills?
I called animal control. I was like, I saw a jaguar.
The car.
Yeah, there's a car in these hills. Yeah, and I was like, I was bored of the trails that I was going on, so I was like, all right, today I'm gonna go on a different trail. I turn right up to this like steep hill, start like trying to sprint up it, turn another corner, and it's like still like a steep hill. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna sprint up this part. Turns another corner, and there's like another steep hill. I'm like, oh, like, all right, I'm gonna have to stop and like turn back around because apparently this is just like I'm gonna need like rock climbing equipment to get up here. So I turn around and I'm like just trying to like walk down this like super steep hill, and about like, I don't know, half the way down, I started to kind of like pick up speed, but not really on purpose, just like because the hill was so steep, and I kept picking up more and more speed. And I literally, like, at one point, I was just sprinting down this hill accidentally. And literally right at the bottom, because, like, it's just, like, a steep incline, and then, like, the ground is like this. So it's just, like, you're, like, jumping off this cliff. And I'm, like, sprinting towards the ground, and I literally just, like, as soon as I get here, like, at the base, I just collapse on my face. and this is, like, in the beginning of my workout. So I literally pick myself up.
Your injury sounds much worse than mine.
Well, maybe more embarrassing. I like look around to make sure I didn't embarrass myself and somebody's watching me, which luckily nobody was, but I literally just got back in my car and left. I was like, I'm done.
The shame got to you.
I give up.
Yeah.
I give up.
You did the walk of shame back to the car.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
All beaten up.
All dirty, dusted off. Luke, what about
Stupid
you?
hill.
I know that Luke and I used to do basketball back in the day, and one of our favorite things, like it's a little inside joke we have, is that when it would be Hell Week for training and conditioning, the coach we had, the head coach that would orchestrate the whole thing, whenever he'd line everybody up for sprints, right when everybody would get ready to go, the way of kicking it off, he'd go, ready, go! And then everybody would run. And we heard that phrase probably, I don't know how many times in our life, but it was the worst phrase because it was like, this is it. Start sprinting as fast as you can. And just like people puking, passing out. Like I was having asthma attacks. I was like, gosh dang it, man. But every time I hear that, ready, go! Like,
It's horrible. It's horrible. No,
to this
I
day,
have
you have like panic attacks when you hear the phrase.
I just drop to my knees, cry.
Tear.
No, I have no shortage of like knee and ankle injuries just from freaking rolling my ankle a million times. And
I was gonna say, I remember that. I remember you always would come home and your ankles would just be like softballs all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I was just born with weak ankles or what. But
Yeah. I'm like, Luke, you weren't even in basketball.
Yeah, I would roll my ankle all the time. And the worst injury probably I ever got though was actually this is so stupid, and I probably shouldn't say this. I was playing flag football.
No.
Like for fun.
Yeah.
And I was running for a pass, QB throws me the ball and I jump up to go catch it, right? And the guy that's covering me was standing on my foot. He was stepping on my foot. And I jumped and like twisted and my foot stayed on the ground, and I literally I could audibly hear 2 pops in my knee. And I like, I'm not one to like, be melodramatic or anything like that, but I literally screamed like a little child. I was on that field screaming my lungs out because it hurt
So how is that
bad.
different from your usual scream, Luke?
Yeah, you girl.
Is another decibel higher?
Yeah. It was at least 2 decibels higher. Yeah.
Okay.
No, my normal scream is much more mellow.
Much more masculine.
It's Arnold Schwarzenegger in Predator.
Yeah,
Nice.
exactly.
Cody, I know you wrestled in high school. What type of craziness did you experience?
I didn't really get injured in wrestling. I was pretty indestructible, I guess you could say. There was one time at the gym when I was running on the treadmill, and I was going about 6 miles an hour, and it shut off. dead stop. I'm not joking. It dead stopped, and I ran right into that treadmill, paneling. And I was like, "Oh, my pelvis!"
Well, pelvis is better than something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Like dinky. Yeah, it was close though.
Who said dinky?
That's a word I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah. If you would have said that, you would have been promptly kicked out of that gym.
Get this guy out of here.
I'm gonna need you to leave.
They actually gave me a month free membership.
This man has an injured dinky.
His name is Dinky.
I know there was one time, speaking of basketball, when I got hurt. Speaking of like embarrassing things you get hurt, I've gotten hurt so many times working out. I'm just a klutz, I guess. I'm just a big lop of a guy.
You got hurt on the set of Social Norm, actually.
I got hurt quite a few times.
Did you crack a hip?
I literally thought it was the second day of filming, and we were filming the climax, just the way the scheduling worked out. But I did that dive, and it was such a simple stunt. It's just dive and kind of like catch yourself with your hands and just kind of do like a worm, if you will. Like, it didn't seem like that hard. And something went awry in the middle of me going and catching air, but all of my weight came down on my right hip, like right on the bone. And it hurt so bad. And it was one of those things where I just felt so stupid. I'm like, are you kidding me? This shouldn't hurt. It may hurt like a little bit, but I can walk it off. But it was like throbbing pain. And you guys, I think I have footage of the bruise that I'll have to put in here. If it's there, it's probably there right now.
Pretty gnarly.
Yeah, it was a gnarly. It swelled up the size of a softball that night. And I literally thought we would have to stop filming, take me to the hospital. It was so painful. But I was like, no, I'm determined to get through this. But anyway, that wasn't necessarily an embarrassing one. The one that I thought was like so embarrassing was I had basketball practice, and we're in the gymnasium with all the guys, and there was a loose ball, and me and the other biggest guy go chasing after it. It's like, got to prove ourselves. I'm going to be the starter, starting five. So we both go after it. It's like one of those things like we're both just going to collide. So I literally just dive on the ball. But as it happens, it's kind of chaotic. The ball like hit right like on my stomach right here, and
your dinky,
right on my dinky. Ooh, boy! But it essentially knocked the wind out of me. And have you ever had the wind knocked out of you where you start making these weird noises and you can't control it? That kind of like, so
you're pretty much dying.
Yeah. Like I go after the ball and like it's so I got like tumble on the ground. So suddenly I'm just laying there going,
So you didn't get the starting position, I take it.
Let's just put it this way: the cheerleaders were never gonna be interested in me after that. Never after that.
Blew my channel.
I think I was in the gym when that happened, and I just pointed and laughed.
I thought you got expelled for saying my dinky or something.
Yeah.
Dillon got injured, and I yelled my dinky.
Your first album. Oh god.
I love that album. It's so good.
Comes from the heart.
Yeah. Well, what's so Matt, since you own a gym, and I'm sure you've got stories of people that have done things that you're like just shaking your head. Is there? I know you don't have to like out any stories of people in particular, but is there anything in a gym like that kind of ticks you off when you see it? You just go like, "What are you doing?" Like, there's always the faux pas. Like you always hate when people are on the same machine, of course. And I think sometimes I don't know how you feel about the guys that are in the gym. They're always like grunting really loud. I don't know how you feel about that. I don't really care for that. The guys are like, just screaming their lungs out. You're like, all right, man. I know you.
Interestingly enough, it's exactly how I sounded when I hurt my knee.
Yeah, I mean, we all know those guys that just are belting out during their reps, and it's just so not necessary. But you have them. Like, I don't really. I guess it helps them. I don't know if it's an ego thing, but definitely a pet peeve. Keeping like machines, not wiping down your machine. If you're just wringing wet, like you don't really have to wipe down your machine. But if you're just like a mess, like have the courtesy to wipe down your machine. Like if it looks like you just stepped out of like a pool or like do us a courtesy. But I do have a good story as far as another business that I had back in Wisconsin. It's a tanning salon. And it much more interesting in a tanning salon than a gym. So they would use. Now I had not experienced this personally. At this point, I had already moved out to LA, but the manager had informed me about this, that we had a repeat offender where they would pee in the little trash bins that we had in the room instead of going to the restroom. I don't know. It was like a fetish or something. And they would basically shit underneath like the little rug that we had in the tanning salon and just like throw the mat over there. And we had it narrowed down to 2 possible people and like had to reach out to them about this. And yeah, it was just a mess.
How do you make that phone call?
Well, first I'd like to apologize.
It was Joel.
I want to know how you worded it. Like, what did you call the poo? Did you call it like defecate?
Cody's more concerned about the terminology.
We were torn between feces or defecation, but the manager did reach out and had asked if you had defecated before your training session. Maybe it happened after the session. They were just so relaxed that they just literally couldn't help themselves.
Did they admit to it? Like, did somebody actually admit to this?
No one ever admitted to it. No.
Oh man.
Is one of the culprits. He was like a chef at a prominent place in the Milwaukee area, and I don't know what he was cooking, but
well, you could probably find out. It's in that tanning bed.
Yeah,
it's right there.
You have the evidence.
Hey Matt.
yeah.
Hey, what's worse for you, a loaded baked potato or spaghetti?
As far
as being not good for you.
There's a lot of factors. There's
like
bathroom time. There's bloat. I would say that the potato. That's a little bit.
You would rather eat the potato?
Is this for a science project, Cody?
Yes, I'm doing a science fair for my work.
Potato. Got it.
He needs another specimen.
Thank you. Cody's just going to eat a baked potato for the science fair.
Everyone behold. Watch me eat this potato.
Watch me get fat.
That is far superior than pasta.
Dillon's like, we had you on, Matt, for fitness. What happened?
I don't know.
What Matt, I got another question for you. Is it worse to be overweight as a guy? Is it worse to be overweight or be super skinny and not be able to gain weight?
I think it's worse to be overweight and not be able to lose the weight. I mean, skinny, it's better for your heart, and you might still be able to take up some sports, like I said, the marathon running. You probably still look good in a suit. A lot of benefits there. So yeah, I'd probably take the skinny guy.
Okay.
How about this, Matt? And I have a question that pertains to me right now. What do you think of the keto diet? Good or bad?
Well, the keto diet is just another diet that's the latest trend for what they've been doing for all these things. When it started with Atkins, where you're kind of lowering carbs and you're having higher protein and fat. I don't think it's sustainable. I think that you're going into a state of ketosis, and it's actually not good for you because you do need carbohydrates to to get energy, basically.
Right.
And your body is functioning off a whole different process with the keto diet or Atkins or any sort of low carb diet. So I actually think that the best diet is one filled with fruits and vegetables. You can eat as many of those as you want. that's almost like free food. And lowering your fat intake, actually. The fat has, calories. It has 9 calories for every gram versus carbohydrates. It's 4 calories for every gram.
Wow.
And, if I don't know what your fitness goals are, but I would certainly advise against the keto diet. And if you wanted to just lean up, you could even consider cutting out meat altogether. There's this fantastic documentary called Cowspiracy. I don't know if you guys seen it by
I have.
Leonardo DiCaprio, but it goes into how one hamburger is equivalent to like you recycling for an entire year. Anyways, it gets into diet and stuff, and there's a lot of good points that they made about these low carb diets. And I'm not a vegetarian. I love meat. I'll eat chicken and beef and turkey, you name it. But I think moderation is better than any sort of fad diet, because it's just not sustainable.
Okay.
Interesting.
Because I've lost quite a bit of weight, but man, I just can't stop throwing up. I'm just kidding.
It's a different diet.
That's a whole different disease altogether.
I think it's also one of those things, Luke, where I think the keto diet, like you said, I mean, obviously people are losing weight, but to Matt's point, it's much healthier to eat in moderation, adding carbs into your diet and exercising, because what a lot of people don't do when they're on the keto diet is exercise. Because if you are on the keto diet and exercising, you're not going to have any energy to do anything. You're just going to be like falling fat on the floor because you don't have any energy. Because your body can't metabolize fat as fast as it can with carbs.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. I mean, I haven't been doing it for too long, and so I've been feeling okay, but it's like definitely going for a run, you just cannot last.
No.
I'm just like, I don't have any gas in my tank.
You're just not going to have the fuel to do a run. And I think Joel is right that you want that combination. It's like a tag team. You got the exercise and the diet, and I don't know which one is more important. If I had to choose, it would be diet, I guess. Yeah. But the exercise, you're just chipping away at that other end, and it's so good cardiovascularly for your heart and all the benefits of stress relief and sleep and whatnot. So, yeah, if you're on a low-carb diet, it's going to be hard to facilitate an exercise program. But your skin looks great.
Yeah. Nice
well,
beard.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. I'm just going to do what I want. So,
how about yogurt? Is yogurt good for you?
It depends if you're lactose intolerant, but
oh no,
I have Greek yogurt every morning in my shake.
Oh, Greek yogurt? Ugh. Oh, God. No, thank you.
I'm talking about that yogurt it's 50% sugar.
Yeah,
right.
The Yoplait.
The Go-Gurts.
Go-Gurt, yeah.
It has the fruits in there.
Go-Gurt as a healthy lifestyle.
What is your opinion, Matt, on the food pyramid? I mean, it says to eat 7 to 11 servings of breads and grains. Is that still
Cody's
true?
living in the 70s.
Yeah, I know.
You guys?
Well, they actually update that periodically, and they keep up with that. And if you see, the bottom is fruits and vegetables, so that's still true, and it works its way up to the grains and then the dairy and meats and whatnot. But 8 servings, that seems a little excessive. I don't think you need that many carbs. I'd get it from vegetables.
Yeah, it didn't seem right.
So Cody's getting a bunch of potatoes now.
I'm gonna eat a bunch of potatoes and spaghetti.
Just 2 potatoes.
All right, y'all. I think we're out of time now, but thank you, Matt, for coming on and educating us. I think we have 1,000 more questions for you in terms of our diet. So we're all really out of shape. We need your help desperately.
No, not at all. I saw you guys all shirtless on the set too, so I know you guys got the physiques.
Yeah, just shredded 10-packs going on down here. Yeah, but anyway, yes, Matt runs a great gym, SpeedX. You guys should go check it out down in Brentwood, and it's on Wilshire and Brentwood, or what? Wilshire Brentwood.
It's
too many potatoes.
Barrington. Wilshire and Barrington, and it's in Brentwood. But thank you guys. It's been great talking with you. Always hilarious as usual. I'd love to come back on again at some point. So answer Cody's further bowel questions.
I got so many questions I didn't get to ask. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to go into it, but we'll ask offline.
Well, we're definitely going to have Matt back on so we can have him answer more of these questions so we can get in shape, because we're really out of shape on this.
I think for my next diet, I'm just going to try all fat.
All fat can of lard.
All fat, all sugar.
What could go wrong?
It's just called fat.
You're going to get a steak at a restaurant. Can you cut away this lean stuff?
As long as it's olive oil, you're good, Luke.
Okay, good.
All right, y'all. All right, so, of course, subscribe to our channel if you're on YouTube. You can check us out on SoundCloud and iTunes. We have a bunch of social media accounts like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Check us out there. Of course, come back for more episodes next week. Until then, we'll talk to you guys later.
So fruits and vegetables you would consider.